Hi, thanks for tuning in to another dose of bite-sized bits of knowledge where we give you meaningful information in a short amount of time. So today, we're going to start talking about succession planning, business succession planning, and what it means and why should you care. So what is succession planning? Succession planning is when you want your business to continue beyond life's uncertainties, for example, death and disability. If you pass away and you own your business or you're a key person in your business, now have probably, if it's owned in your name, you have a personal representative or executor who's now kind of in the driver's seat, and it's not a quick process to get that person in the driver's seat. So there's a holdup here. The business will probably slow down to a halt while there's a scramble to figure out management. While your business is kind of stuck in this process, it's slowing down. Ownership is unclear. Management is possibly unclear. Your purchase price is low, very low. In fact, this is sometimes what we refer to as a fire sale situation, where you have a family inheriting a business, or parts of a family, or a spouse of a family inheriting a business and just doesn't want it, doesn't know anything about it, doesn't care. Just give me some money and I'll move on. Usually that happens in what's called a fire sale, meaning pretty much the lowest price possible that a buyer is willing to pay for it. It's good for the buyer, it's not good for the estate. So if this is something that would bother you, then you should pay attention to this stuff. The same can apply to disability. If you have a disability, you can't work anymore, whether you have insurance or not, doesn't change the fact that your business probably cannot continue without you. And that's something you really need to think about. So the idea here is continuity of business. When life uncertainties happen, how is the business going to continue to operate effectively and properly without you in the game? So if you have family, do you want them to be involved? Do they want to be involved? Sometimes people are surprised that they appointed their kids to take over and the kids want nothing to do with the business, and then it blows up because that wasn't conceptualized, that wasn't thought about in the planning process. If maybe they don't want to be involved, or they're not ready, or not willing, or able, they're too young, whatever the reason, perhaps you want to have it managed by key personnel for the benefit of your family. How do we do that? How do we structure that so that key personnel are interested and have a vested interest in maximizing the value of the company when it's for the benefit of other people? That's an interesting, dilemma that we solve that problem. Timing is very important here too. If you want to get out, while you're retired, or you want to get out after you pass, there are significant tax consequences of the timing here. Timing matters. Tax matters. The amount you're giving to your family, or giving to whoever you want to give it to, the value of the business is dramatically impacted by when you give it to them. There's a whole video on the basis, tax basis. Watch that video to catch up on basis, but it matters. Generally, you want to give things on death. That's kind of the rule. In the current tax code environment of 5,000 pages, that I boil it down to that one rule. Control is also something to really think about. Who do you want to be kind of succeeding you as manager, as president, as CEO, whatever your role is? Is that person qualified? Do they know what the job entails? Are they motivated and interested to kind of bridge the gap for you? And then lastly, you got to think about this very granularly. You got to get under the hood, you got to understand the business, and you got to start building out systems. In the same way we talked about for exit planning, you need to build out systems for succession planning if you want to make it work. If you want this to continue, rolling the way it's been, performing and operating, there needs to be something in place to make that happen. It's just not going to happen on its own. And certainly if you have random people stepping in to take over, I guarantee you it is not going to happen. And that business will be sold at a value far less than what you really want to be sold, and the value of which goes to your family or intended beneficiary. Maybe it's charity. Whatever it is, the value will be a lot lower without doing this. So how do we do this? Well, you got to start getting involved in the people, connecting with the people, understanding, what roles are important. You got to understand your family involvement, who wants to be involved and who wants to participate in management and succession of management. You got to understand the business. The business has to start to become systemized. You have to have documentation of how the business runs and operates in case different people have to be brought in. You got to have, I mentioned, I can't overemphasize this enough, key personnel is so important. You got to make sure that they're buying into the vision and they're buying into, what you want them to be doing, how they're going to do it, and they're well compensated for doing it. There's a lot of ways to skin a cat here. All this is effectuated in legal documents that are, like the, operating agreements, shareholders agreements, bylaws, and so forth. Usually we deal with trusts at the top of that, of the business as the owner, to keep it out of probate and make sure we're streamlining the process. But there's a lot of ways to skin a cat here, and every single business is different. They all have the same kind of framework of issues to overcome, but every business is really different and has different challenges and different goals. So succession part 1 is talking about here, disability, death, continuity of business, avoiding a fire sale, maximizing value that goes to your family, talking to the right people to make sure that you have everybody in place, having a system, involved for the business to make sure that it's streamlined as much as possible to minimize your disruption of there not being there. Tax matters, timing matters, and getting under the hood is the key to moving this forward. Okay, thank you for stopping by and stay tuned for more.
Haimo, Haimo.